Dr. Parminder Singh is a senior associate consultant at the Mayo Clinic in Arizona in medical oncology. He's also a member of the Southwest Oncology Group Genital Urinary Committee, playing a very critical role in designing clinical trials in bladder cancer. He's an active clinical trial investigator conducting clinical trials in genital urinary cancers with a focus on bladder cancer.
So broadly, I have divided my presentation in 3 slides. The first slide describes immune therapy, which is being investigated in patients as a next line of treatment once the BCG stops working. The second slide will show you the clinical trial which we are conducting through SWOG. And my idea to show you that slide is for you to understand how trial dynamics work, how patients are given treatments, and how patients are followed on a trial. And then to show you what other kinds of trials are available in clinicaltrials.gov website and over the nation, other trials looking in this space. So I'll start with the first slide, just to give you a slight background. Patients, once the patient's bladder cancer stops to respond to BCG, the next treatment option is having their bladder removed. And that is a life-changing event, and Rick is going to talk about patients having bladder surgery. And so there is a need for us to design new medications which can reduce this outcome of having your bladder removed. What if we give you a medication and the bladder cancer goes away and such that you don't need your bladder to be removed? And in that vein, there are many new medications which are being investigated. And one of those is the immune therapy, which is getting a lot of media with many high-profile people getting their cancers treated with the use of immune therapy. And so just to give you a sense of how this immune therapy class of drug works. And on the screen, you see a blue cell and a red cell on the lower side. The blue cell is the immune cell of our body, which approaches the red cell, which is the tumor cell. And the tumor cell, you see a center red circle dot in a cup, which is a green cup, which is holding that dot. This red dot is a protein which the tumor cell is presenting to the immune cell, which is a blue cell. Once the immune cell reads this protein, it recognizes this as a bad actor and then can destroy this cancer cell. But when this interaction is happening, you see that next to the green cup, there is a purple and a magenta cup, or proteins. These proteins also interact with the immune cell and give a signal to the immune cell that, no, please don't destroy me. I am one of your own. So this interaction in technical terms is called immune checkpoint. Essentially, the tumor cell is asking the immune cell not to kill me. And so this class of drug blocks this interaction. The blue proteins which you see on both sides are these new drugs. These drugs are given intravenously. It goes to the location where the cancer cells are, and it binds to these proteins which are interacting and leading to immune checkpoint such that this pathway is blocked, and then the immune cell will go ahead and destroy the cancer cell. If this happens, essentially your immune system is getting rid of the cancer, and it can lead to a durable remission where the cancer goes away and never comes back, because essentially we are making your immune system capable of destroying your cancer. And so this class of drug is now approved for bladder cancer patients in advanced disease setting where they have metastatic disease and the chemotherapy is not helping them, or they are not a good candidate for strong chemotherapy. These medicines can offer a possibility of durable remission even in advanced stage settings. But at the same time, from our past experience, we know that every stage of cancer is different, and we need to investigate new medication in every stage separately before approving or using it in that disease setting. So what it means is, the medications are approved in late stage of the disease, which is the advanced stage disease, and now we are conducting clinical trials to to see if these medicines help this early stage, which is carcinoma in situ, or TA or T1, as Dr. Swatak showed you on the screen, if these medicines can prevent or eliminate this disease. So this is a clinical trial again coming from Southwest Oncology Group. This clinical trial is looking at this molecule called atezolizumab, which you see on the vertical boxes. This medicine is one type of immune therapy approved for bladder cancer. Patients whose cancer is not responding to BCG, we categorize them into a BCG unresponsive category. These patients are then enrolled on the clinical trial, and they receive this medication every 3 weeks. So this flow chart shows you how patient goes through the treatment on the clinical trial, where they receive the medication every 3 weeks. Then at a 13-week time point, they get a cystoscopy where a urologist will look inside their bladder and see the treatment is helping. If the treatment is not helping, then the patient is asked that they can go and proceed with having their bladder removed since the medicine is not working, or may even enroll on subsequent clinical trials. But if the treatment is helping, they can continue with this treatment to a total of 17 infusions, and then we follow these patients with frequent cystoscopies to see how long the treatment keeps the bladder cancer away. Now, there are a few takeaway points from this slide. Number one is, once you go on a clinical trial, you're somehow bound to that institution who is providing you those medications for the duration of the treatment. These clinical trials are clinical tests, and we as investigators want to have some degree of rigidity involved, where patients are treated similarly who are involved on the trial, and they are followed closely at predefined time points, so that we can make an assessment if the medicine is working or is not working in that disease setting. There's always some degree of acceptable limits in terms of time points. So, example, the infusions, there are allowable time limits of plus minus 3-4 days, or a week in the plus minus a week at the evaluation. But more or less, once you start on a clinical trial, you are bound at that institution for the duration of the treatment. And Rick is going to talk more about what it takes to be on a clinical trial. But these trials are very important, because once patient goes on these trials and we find that these medicines work in this disease setting, that opens up a new option for patients all over the world to get these medicines and have their bladder preserved, and they may not need radical cystectomies for their cancer. So this is a long list of other clinical trials in the same BCG unresponsive disease setting, which I picked up from the clinicaltrials.gov website. That is a resource which is an open resource for anybody. You can log on to that website by typing in clinicaltrials.gov and then search for BCG refractory or unresponsive, and it will show you all clinical trials which are recruiting. In fact, Stephanie can talk more about BCAN website, where this resource is also available, where you can go and look up all these clinical trials. And then it gives you information at where all these clinical trials are open in the US or nearby your location, and what it takes for you to go there and get enrolled on if you need to be on that clinical trial. And as you see, there are multiple new medications. The first one shows you the instillidrin, second is durvalumab, and third one is looking for a combination of BCG with the new molecule ALT-803. So a variety of drugs, both through immune mechanisms and chemotherapies, which we are evaluating to see if we can reduce the chance of patients getting their bladder removed if they are not responding to initial BCG. If patient's cancer is not responding to BCG, then to look for newer options.